Welcome back to another episode of the Bono's Real Estate Podcast. Today's going to be a very interesting conversation, a very valuable conversation. I'm here with Jim Lawler with Lawler Construction here in the beautiful Verde Valley in Arizona. And we're going to be talking about new builds. A lot of times we talk about resale and buying a home and selling homes, but today we're going to talk about what does it look like to build a home. So Jim, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. So for the audience, introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So Jim Lawler, as you said, Lawler Construction has been around since 1985 and started actually building homes for a builder in Sedona. We were the largest construction company in Sedona in the late 70s. And then got my license in 1985 and been happy ever since that I did that. We've learned a whole lot in that 38 years of being in business. But it's been very pleasurable as far as the experience with working with our clients.
Yeah.
Being able to learn new techniques and methods. There's one thing that I really pride our team in is that we always strive to know more, to do better,
Right.
To do our job better, to serve our clients better. So I appreciate that with my team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always very curious about how people get into what they do. So give everybody, and myself, because I'm very curious, give everybody a little bit of insight on why did you get into this business in the first place?
That's a good question. Actually, my father was a plumber in Sedona for 38 years or 30 years, excuse me. And so I started out in the summers between school years working for my dad. And I hated that job with a passion, but I had to do it because that was the only thing I knew how to do.
Right.
But when I was 18, I got married to my beautiful wife of 46 years now, and actually 47 years. And so we've been together for a long time, and she's helped me, supported me through all this. We at that time decided that I need to do something different because I did not enjoy being a plumber.
Right.
So I got into construction and just never turned back. I loved after my first year working for the contractor I worked for, which was different than the one I was telling you about. He made me his job site foreman, and within a year, and then I went to work for this large building contractor, and he eventually got to where he drove me in his Cadillac to a lot, gave me a set of money, and said, "Build this house." It was pretty scary, but it was really neat because at a young age, I learned how to build houses and
Right.
I learned that I was going to have to do it or it wasn't going to get done. And so
Right.
I really, being that my dad is owner of his business, so he's passed away since, but it just, I guess in my blood to be a business owner. So
Yeah.
always had it in my mind that I was going to own my own business one day.
Right.
And at 26 years old, that was a little scary. But that's how old I was in 1985.
Yeah.
When I first got my license.
That's awesome. So I want to get into what this whole plan and process looks like for somebody if they're wanting to build a home. And I know that for a lot of people, that's very intimidating to think about. And just getting into real estate in the first place, whether you're looking to buy a house or sell your first house, like all of it is very complicated for just a regular person who doesn't know anything about real estate. So I want to get into what it is and what it looks like to build a house. But before we do, I want to talk about your thoughts on the market. So we went from a year ago having interest rates be at 2.5%, and now they hit 8% recently. So it's freaking everybody out. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I think this is a very important conversation to have for people so they know all their options. I feel like that's a huge part of where we are in the market for consumers, especially buyers. A lot of people may be thinking, what is going on? We don't know what's happening. We don't know what the future looks like. So just give them some of your wisdom about where the market is.
I appreciate that. But so in my 38 years of being in business, real estate is cyclical, just like everything else. Every other investment that you would make is cyclical. But real estate has always been the strongest up until 2008, 10, 11, 12.
Right.
And we'd never seen anything like that before. That period of time, at the beginning of that, they likened that to 1981. Interest rates got up to 18%.
Right.
And I was actually, I actually owed the home at that time down to 16% loan. It was a really big deal. So it's always, as a matter of perspective of where we're at and
Right.
relative to the current economy. And so just so you know, and in the early 2000s to almost to 2008, interest rates had climbed to 8%.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't, what we experienced 2 years ago
Right.
was never something that anybody, our relatives, our
Right.
grandparents, nobody experienced 2.6% interest.
Right. Right.
That was, everybody kind of got less spoiled with that. So now with the interest rates down, they dropped down to 7.25%. And the talk out there, people who know about this say that they believe by this time next year we'll see interest rates in the fives. And that's when we're going to see the crazy period happen again.
Right.
I've seen cycles, as I mentioned, where 2002, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 was our best year we'd ever had up until a couple of years ago.
Right.
And so I'm used to seeing cycles, and people decide, oh, I've got to buy a house no matter what it takes. I got to buy a house.
Right.
Here's the thing that happened. This is what I understand, and I believe it's to be true, and that is through that 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12 period. In that period, I built one house. When I normally build, at that time, I would build anywhere from 6 to 8 houses a year. Now I build anywhere from 20 to 40 houses.
Right.
So it's a little bit different now. But at that time, we were building a lot of houses in the early 2000s to 2008.
Right.
Well, that just stopped construction completely. People were not buying houses.
Right.
Building houses. We basically got to where we just weren't building anything for a long period of time. And during that period, Arizona lost over half of their construction-related workforce. That was huge because we needed to have those people in this period.
Right.
We started back up and things started getting turned around. We still have not really recovered from that period of time. We're still looking for guys to go to work in the construction industry.
Yeah.
And so we're, what we did though is we automatically put ourselves in a bad place as far as the supply and demand.
Right.
And so supply has been getting behind ever since that period of time. And in probably the last couple of years, we may have reached our normal, our normal is 1.3 million units, housing units in the United States. And we, up to from 2007 to the last couple of years, we were able to reach that because we didn't have the workforce to do it. And we didn't have the capacity that COVID hit.
Right. I was just going to bring that up. If COVID had an impact.
COVID had a huge impact.
Right.
My phone didn't ring for like 1 month. And after 1 month, it rang off the hook. And because people what they were told is go home, work from home.
Right.
And so from home now, home could be any, as long as I have good internet and I can get connected, then I'm going to be able to work from anywhere. So that just changed our, building atmosphere here. It just all of a sudden, everybody was looking to buy a house.
Right.
The problem that happened with that is that all the manufacturers sent on their people home.
Right.
So all of our products stopped being made. And so we got so far behind on that, inventory got eaten up.
Right.
And then it took them a long time to get people back to work and building these products up.
Right.
But we still had the demand.
Yeah.
So that's why prices prices doubled in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's insane, crazy. And unfortunately, what's happened is that it still has not dropped like it should. Really, in the 38 years I've been at business, I've seen periods of time in the mid 2000s where I had a quote that was good for 2 weeks. Well, during that period of time, I had a quote that was good for 1 day. That was it.
Yes, right.
It changed drastically.
Right.
Every week we were telling our clients bad news,
Right.
and so it was really frustrating for us
Yeah.
because, we had to go through that period. Well, at this period of time now, we have seen it settle down, which is really a good thing. And I would tell you that the Verde Valley is poised for a building boom because we have all the resources here. We have the we have great views, and the climate is perfect, and then we have more water here in the Verde Valley than any place else in the state.
Yeah. Which we'll get into that because I know we had a conversation the first time we talked about this, about the water in the Verde Valley. And it was a lot of, I grew up in the Verde Valley and I didn't know a lot of information that you were sharing. So we'll get into that as well. But just to kick things off about building a home. So why in this market that we're in today, if I'm somebody looking to build a home, why would that be a good decision for me to do, or at least just start to look into doing, rather than going out and trying to, buy a home? What's the differences? What's the benefits, pros and cons of the two?
So I don't know the exact statistics as far as how many existing homes are on the market, but I think our supply is probably around 30 days to maybe 60 days. Could be a little bit higher now. I think we've seen a little more houses come on the market. But the reason for that is most everybody refinanced their home to a 2.6%. And unless you're leaving town, you can't replace that by something here. So those houses are not going on the market. They're going to stay not on the market for a long period of time. Like for me, I'm building a new house. I'm keeping my old house which has a 2.69%
Right. Yeah.
It's like free money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it into VRBO or rental, whatever.
Right.
But I'm going to keep it as an investment because it's a great investment to keep.
Right.
So now here we're all faced with, okay, if I want to move to the Verde Valley because supply is so low, I guess I need to really think about building.
Right.
Here's the thing about now versus a year from now. A year from now, you're going to get in line. There's going to be a lot of people that want to move here. We have the nicest area to move to that any place in the Southwest has to offer.
Definitely.
And so we had a bunch of people get on the fence in COVID. Now we're seeing them come back to us, and they're okay. So now what's happening with building?
Right.
It's flattened out. Unfortunately, you missed a good time to build 2 years ago.
Right.
It would have been quite a bit less than it is today.
Right.
But it is still the thing about where we're at today is that 2 years ago our prices were still low because we had beat everybody up in 2008, 9, 10, 12. And, they were not making, they were just making wages. And, in fact, even people that worked for me, their wages dropped because they went from a superintendent to a job foreman. I couldn't have them be a superintendent at the period of time. I had to be the superintendent.
Right.
And so that really hurt us. So prices were really low. And when the economy turned around and things just started moving, which happened in the 2000s, 2005 and 6, employees started saying, you got to pay me more to stay in your job. So that's been a big part of our price increase in the last year. Is wages. I mean, in order for us to have people live here, we have to pay them better wages.
Right.
And so that's been a big part of our run up in prices in the last year. We saw products being a driver early on in the and in the last part of that, we've seen wages being a big part of it. And so people are going to say, well, shouldn't prices go down? Well, I'm hoping that these guys that are manufacturing those products are, filling up their shelves and inventories looking good and making start dropping their prices.
Right.
But unfortunately, there's still a lot of things at play that are impacting that, and that's fuel costs to get it to here. And all the way to the market, everything is going up in price. So we're seeing that, but we are seeing a pretty level period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, a lot of people right now are doing the 2-1 buy downs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, but so that because they're predicting the interest rates will be down this time next year,
Yeah.
we get the 2-1 buy down, and so we're now I'm in a better position in my loan,
Right.
so I don't have to pay so much interest at the beginning.
Right.
So that's been very helpful I mean, that's what they did in the 2000s was think outside the box.
Right.
How can you get this stuff? Unfortunately, there's too many other things that caused a
Right.
problem with the market.
Mm-hmm.
But we are, my research is that we're anywhere from 3 to 10 million housing units short of demand in the United States. And I'm going to bet we're closer to that $10 million or 10 million mark as far as how many people are looking to buy our house.
So absolutely. I think that one of the big questions that a lot of people have, obviously, is price and cost. And what does it cost to buy a house? What does it cost to build a house? Because everybody cares about their money and they want to know where it's going and they want to try to save as much as they can of it. So go into a little bit, tell us, if I'm looking to build a house, tell me, what are the details? How long does it take to get a house built? What are the costs that go into it? And just all those little details that I would want to know.
So from the beginning, the good relationship with a builder client is that one, you as a client trust your builder, because for the next year to a year and a half, depending on how complicated your plans are and your houses, you're going to be married to that builder for that amount of time.
Right.
So you really need to trust that person. And that's really the key, because right from the beginning, you need to be honest with that person, that builder, and say, this is my budget.
Yep.
This is all I can spend.
Okay.
And then the builder can look at your land, look at your ideas and what you want and how big of a house you want, how you want it to function, and let you know right away if those match up.
Right.
If it doesn't match up, then let's save everybody time and not go any further.
Right.
Or figure out how we can think outside the box,
look at options,
and come up with options of how we can
right,
maybe come together and make
right. Okay.
And we do that really, really well. As I said, today we build 20 to 40 houses a year. With having that many houses that we build in a year, we have real-time numbers. We know exactly what costs are because we're bidding at different phases of a project. Every day we're working on numbers.
Right.
So we can tell our clients if they're in the right direction with that budget, or if they need to make some adjustments to that. And we usually are really good at helping them come up with value engineering.
Right. Right.
I don't know if you've heard that. You've probably heard that phrase, but that's really the key to a successful build, is that we've all worked together at trying to come up with the best products, the best quality products, the best quality build,
right?
But keep it, to where it meets that budget.
Okay.
Value engineering usually helps out that.
Yeah. I like that term. Okay, so I want to go into a different direction with the building process. Let's say I'm really bougie, okay, and I want a lot of additional fancy features in my home. So with your process, how flexible are you guys with the features and the add-ons and different things that I can do to my new build?
So that's great. I'm glad you asked me that question, because I'm pretty certain this is not consistent throughout the industry and with builders.
Right.
But we build in the range from, starter homes, helping people out.
Yeah.
I'm the volunteer builder. I have been the volunteer builder for Habitat for Humanity. So I get people into houses at their cheap prices.
Right.
So that's important to me to provide housing. We also have a $3.6 million house score. So we can provide throughout the whole range.
Right.
Starter home, the luxury, high-end home.
Right.
And we're really good at that. I have a great team. I had, back in the early 2000s where I was building 6 to 8 houses.
Right.
I wore a lot of hats during that time.
Yeah.
Today I have a lot of people wearing those hats.
Yeah.
So we can do more work. We can provide better service for our clients.
Right.
And, service, that's really, to me, is very important, that we give our clients the best service and the best experience in building that.
Right. Well, and I think that goes across for everybody in the industry. Like when we're dealing with our customers, when we're dealing with clients, how do we make them feel after we have a conversation with them? I think that's something that people sometimes forget, especially with all the stresses of the market right now. How are we making people feel after we talk to them? Are we talking about all the negative things about the market? Or are we talking about all their options that they do have? And I think that you hit it right on. It's caring about your clients and figuring out what they want, but really just having the service of, do they have a smile on their face once they're done talking to you? Or do they just feel depressed about the market or whatever you ended up talking about? And so, yeah, I love that. Energy efficient. So we had talked about this as well. So what energy efficient features are included in your homes and why have you gone down that road?
So in 2012, my son and I went to Boulder, Colorado for a week-long training with ProBuild that put together a program called Pro Universities. So,
Okay.
so we went up there and we learned all about building sciences,
Yeah.
how to build an efficient home, how to build Energy Star,
Mm.
and all of the different nuances that go with that, and how the methods that are used. And these guys, these clinicians were the guys that actually wrote the book.
Okay.
They know how to do energy.
Right. Yeah.
And so they taught us how to do standard practices, wood frame homes, trusses, wood trusses, stucco. They taught us how to use those methods, but also do it in a way in which we could be Energy Star,
Right.
or high efficient home.
Okay.
And so that started I always thought I was a energy efficient builder.
Yeah.
And then I went to that and found out how much I didn't. So
Right.
from that point, we really began the trek of making sure that, we started to learn about how we're going to build an energy efficient home,
Okay.
and how we build Energy Star certified homes and Indoor Air Plus. So
Okay.
Indoor Air Plus is also the this standard for quality air.
Right.
So when we close up these houses really tight and make them very energy efficient,
Yeah.
if we don't do anything about exchanging the air inside the house,
Right.
then we make them an unhealthy home.
Okay.
We use what's called an ERV. It exchanges the air from the inside of the house to the outside, but ERV is energy recovery ventilation. So what it does is it recovers about 70% of the energy that is exhausted. And you're cooling your house, it's going to cool it to 70% of what the temperature was at exhausted. Then it's vice versa with heating.
Right.
So we have that. And then with Indoor Plus, our subcontractors have to guarantee they're not going to use VO seats. So,
Right.
So we really are careful about the products that we use in our home.
Right.
And then also the methods in which we put it. And Energy Star, this home in particular, the HERS score on it was 23. So 23 means that a home built just like it in the same year as this one that didn't have Energy Star would be 67% more inefficient than this one.
Oh,
This ended up being 67% more efficient.
gotcha. Okay.
So the HERS score really matters when you and what's really nice is that we have to use a third party who verifies that we built this home, these methods, this efficiency, and then he does a test on home at the very end,
right?
And then that's how we got our HERS score. So this is an independent guy. He works for us as a subcontractor, but he's not in my payroll,
right?
And so he's mandated by EPA that he does these tests,
right,
to verify, to give us a certification, to give us the HERS.
Okay.
And so, that's registered. This house is registered with the EPA.
Nice.
Is the efficiency.
Nice.
I have a booklet that I can give to my clients that tells them all the energy efficient methods that we use to get to that HERS score.
Right.
And so it's really, what I like about that is it's scientific.
Okay. Right.
It proves to my client, I'm not just telling them that I'm doing this
right.
And I can do it and have it proved that I did.
Right. Yeah. So actually, I have to pause there because I have to tell everybody I was setting up beforehand and I was sitting and kind of and this is such a comfortable home that I was starting to get kind of tired. Like I was like, I could take a nap right here, right now, honestly. And so, but yeah, I think what you're saying, I think it makes a huge difference. I think it makes a huge difference for just the way the house feels because we're sitting in here and it's a vacant home, but it feels so comfortable. And like I wanted to lay my head down and, and take a nap. So I want to go back because we had talked a little bit about communication and service that you guys provide. Um, what does that communication look like? So if I am looking to build a home and I have questions, do I have a direct contact with somebody, or do I have to go through the front desk and then I get put on hold and then I don't ever get a hold of anybody? Like, what does that look like? Do I have a direct contact person?
Yes, I hope it's never the latter part. No, it looks like I either myself or my son will do the
Yep.
initial meeting with the potential client.
Yeah.
We will, survey them to find out exactly what they're looking for, look at
Right.
their land. We'll meet with them typically at their land.
Hmm.
Or if we have a subdivision, so they might build in our subdivision.
Okay.
So in that, it's a little bit different scenario. Julie would be the one that would meet with them
Hmm.
and go through all the choices and selections. But on the
Yeah.
custom home, myself or my son will meet with them initially.
Yeah.
And then once we get them plugged into our system, then we assign them an estimator.
Right.
We have 4 estimators that work for us.
Hmm.
We have general manager, and then 5 superintendents, and so we're very well run
Right.
programming. And we have office manager. She has 2 people working under her.
Right.
So we have all the hats are covered.
Right.
We try to make sure that we don't have anything drop off. So you will be communicating with all the way through the process.
Right.
We
Yeah.
have it set up to where we, weekly will let you have an update on what's
Right.
going on,
Yeah.
what we need, what you need to do for them
Right.
as far as making selections,
Right.
or looking at the plans to decide, okay, is that floor plan does that look right, or you
Right.
need to make some adjustments. We love that part. I mean,
Yeah.
I love designing and building homes for our clients.
Now, this goes along the lines of communication and everything, but sometimes things happen. So sometimes things happen whether you're buying a house, selling a house, or building a house. If there are delays for whatever reason, and I'm sure that you were experiencing delays with the manufacturing and with whatever else during COVID, and I was hearing that like cabinets and garage doors were something that were delaying the building process like crazy. So if I'm building a house with you and there are certain delays, first of all, what do those delays look like? Like, what are possible delays that could be a possible um, delay in the building process? And then how do you handle those delays?
So in 2020, March of 2020 is when we were all told to go home, right?
Right.
So that was the beginning of the nightmare,
Right.
okay, of delays.
Yeah.
I mean, so it really didn't happen until 2021,
Right.
because 2020 we still had inventory that we could eat too.
Right.
But then once that inventory went away, that's when we started experiencing the delays.
Right.
And the delays were a lot of times, well, I'm sure people heard that we had, 200 cargo ships out
Yeah.
on sea right in front of the port. We flew to Hawaii and saw 200 cargo ships sitting out there. That was pretty crazy. That explained it to me what was going on with our supply.
Okay. So look, pause right there. So for anybody listening right now, there was 200 cargo ships outside the port. Why? Why was that happening?
Because our ports, they were on strike at the beginning,
Hmm.
and because they knew that they were a big key in
Yeah.
success of, opening up the gates to get stuff in.
Right.
Trucking became an issue.
Hmm.
It was just it was a really, it was the same, they were talking about in 2009. It was like the perfect storm,
Right.
everything went wrong that could go wrong, and it did.
Yeah.
And that was that period of time for us.
Right.
It was for everyone. I mean, and then chip manufacturers were not keeping up with the chip manufacturing.
Right.
I had a Theodore Lawler that I ordered 18 months ahead of the time of the meeting event. And by the time I was done with that, I still did not have that oven. So I had to I put in an alternative oven, the range oven, and had to pay the client the difference that the thermidor was. The thermidor didn't charge us for, but that I had to go through that experience.
Right. Yeah.
And that was one of the situations. Metal for garage doors was on the cargo ships being bid on. So the garage door companies, whoever came up with the highest bid got the shipment at that time.
Wow.
I mean, it was a really different period of time. I've never experienced that.
So this was a question that I had during that time when people were saying that they couldn't close on the property until they got cabinets or whatever. Some may be listening because I was one who had this question. Why can't you just close and then have the cabinets come later?
But it depends on who you're working with.
Okay.
If you're working with a bank is going to expect that it's substantially complete.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
as a homeowner, you need to sign off that you're okay where it's at and that you're trusting that your builder is going to complete the home.
Right.
Because the bank and the title company,
Right.
neither one of them want to be on the hook for lien
Right.
that come in later, or, as inferior work.
Right.
That they give them the final money for it.
Right.
You see, because we got the bid and funding the bid. So they don't want to fund that last payment until the house is done.
Okay.
So that's what the issue was there. It was mostly that. I mean, if you had a person that was builder with cash,
right,
you
probably get away with it.
They just dealt with it.
Right.
And knew there's nothing we could do about it. I mean, we're not the ones making the wood to make the cabinet.
Right.
We're not the ones making the metal, the raw metal to make the garage doors.
Right.
It's all our hands, and we just have to deal with that. I'll tell you, it was a learning experience for us.
Yeah.
2021. How we dealt with people and communicated with people about what was going on. As I said, we were the bearer of bad news like every week it seemed like, this
right
and this went up.
Right.
It was a difficult time.
Yeah.
This isn't coming in.
Right.
At that time.
Oh, I remember the delays that we were seeing were crazy. It was 2.5 years until people were, and at that time I was like, wow, that's a real question on whether or not it's worth it to build or to buy, because do you want to wait that long or do you not? And so, but then you're dealing with higher prices, and so it was a very interesting time, different than it is today. So,
if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speak to that. So today, you're right. It is very different today than it was even a year ago. And a couple of things that impacted that.
Yeah.
And that is building has slowed down in the nation. And by, I think it's over 20 to 25%. That's huge.
Yeah.
25% drop in construction.
Yeah.
When materials were being supplied for that 100%.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, it's taken that stress off of that.
Right.
So now they get to replenish their inventories.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see a pretty good period of time to build, unless we see something like what happened.
Right.
The guys who are in control of the raw materials.
Yeah.
We have that round that he had in 2021, 2022.
What a crazy time.
It was really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't see that right now. We definitely see we could get whatever we want. Time the lead times are back to normal.
Yeah. Good.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and this is why I was excited to have this conversation with you, because, like I said, the average person on the street, they don't know any of that information unless they see a clip on the news of it or something, or they have a friend that's in real estate, which most everybody probably does. But are they getting the real information, right? About what is the timelines really looking like? Is it a good time to buy, or is it a bad time to build? They don't know the information. And so I'm glad that we're able to have this conversation so you could share with people. But financially, if I'm like, okay, I'm ready to build, right? Somebody may be thinking, you know what? This sounds like a good plan. We'll get a brand new home right there in the Verde Valley. It'll be great for our family. Where do I start to get the financing to do this?
That's a good question. So first of all, you have to have a budget.
Yep.
So you begin with the budget, and then you look at what you have, your personal finances. So A conventional loan is going to be, you're going to kick in 20% of the total value. So if you own the land free and clear, that's part of that 20%.
Right.
So you could have, in fact, we build houses a lot of the times where the people just own the land and then the rest of it is financed by the bank.
Right.
So it just depends on complication
Right.
and the build
Right.
and how expensive the land is. And land has gone up in value in the last couple of years.
Right.
Kind of flattened out a little bit here recently because, unfortunately, people don't have the vision
Right.
how to build on this lot.
Right.
Say,
Yeah.
until they reach the panic point where everybody's it's time to build right now.
Right.
All of a sudden, no, it's
Too late. Yeah.
that we seen that quite often.
Right.
And so that's when we see them run up prices.
Right.
The demand is so high that we can't commit with that.
Right.
But as far as the finances go, there's plenty of banks out here that are giving construction loans, and there's banks out there that do a one-time close. So one-time close is you lock in your rate, which is not a good idea right now because you're anticipating rates to go down.
Right.
So you would just get your construction financing, and then at the time you get ready to close it, roll it into permanent financing, you would then lock in your rate at that.
Oh, okay.
At this period. Now,
Right.
2 years ago, it was a good idea for you to go lock on close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you locked it in at the time you started
Right.
construction.
Yeah.
I just talked to a guy that did that. He said, my friend has a 6% interest rate. He started at the same time he did, but he didn't do that one-time close.
Oh, right.
That guy did. He's at 2.6%. And it's like 2 years.
Right. Right.
That was the big difference there.
Yeah.
And that's what, there's different options. So obviously I would talk to a banker that does do construction loans.
Right.
And then I would talk to a couple different bankers.
Right.
There's because sometimes money's a little bit less expensive from one
Right.
to the next because they have a better allotment.
Right.
So they can get it at a better rate.
Right.
It's good to talk to more.
Yeah, absolutely. What about warranties? So I build a house with you. Do you have warranties that you provide, and what does that kind of thing look like?
So the state of Arizona requires that we put a 2-year workmanship warranty on our products, on our homes. So that covers naturally with the home. We also offer 210 structural warranties. So from the year 2 after the 2 years up with the registered contractor's requirement, from that point to 10 years, we can offer a 10-year structural warranty.
Okay.
One of the things about these houses here is they're post-tension. And post-tension houses are very well built. They're solid.
Right.
Our concrete slab is 8 inches thick with stainless steel cables.
Yeah.
They're 2 foot on center each way and then tension to like 17,000 pounds per cable. So whenever concrete is tension, it just makes it super strong.
Yeah.
And so there's really not a need for a structural warranty on a house like this,
Right.
because you're not going to see issues with settling,
Foundation cracks or anything like that.
Walls cracking,
Right.
and just not going to have that because the foundation, which is the most important part of your house,
Right.
is the foundation,
Right.
is the best part of your house.
Right. So the warranties that you do offer, is that things that the roof, what are the things that those types of things cover?
So anything beyond the 2-year workmanship warranty is manufacturing. So whatever the manufacturer supplies, like some different products have different periods of warranty.
Okay.
So it just depends on the product.
Okay.
And, roofing, we on our flat roofs we use a TPO, which is a lifetime warranty.
Right.
So it just depends on the product that we're using, and the applicator has to be certified to install that.
Okay. What if I build a house with you and I want to expand it later on down the road? I want to add another bedroom or something. I want to expand it. Is that something that is possible for them to do? And what does that kind of thing look like?
So what we try to do is find out if that's your goal, long-term goal. And
Okay.
that's your long-term goal that you want to eventually expand. You're young, like
Right.
you start a family, but
Right.
if you're planning on having 6 kids, I would not, but well,
No.
maybe, but
No.
so if you're going to have a big family and eventually down the road, you want to expand your home, we try to design the home to one, the septic system is designed for those extra bedrooms that you're going to get.
Oh, okay.
And so we
Okay.
have to do that later. The utilities are sized for the demand for that kind of a size of a home.
Right.
Just different things like that. And also
Yeah.
where we put,
Right.
so when we do build a house, we
Right.
know where it's going to go. What we try and do is a master plan that shows that addition right away.
Right.
And then we just take it off of the plan when we go to build, but the plan.
Okay. Yeah, that's good information. Yeah, that's good to know. So if they wanted to later down the road, though, is that something that you guys could come in and help them do? If that's something that they decide, they don't tell you in the beginning. They're just like a year later, they're just like, I want another shed attached to the house. Is that something that is possible?
We don't do sheds, but we do it this
A bedroom.
if somebody wants to add livable square footage, even a garage.
Yeah.
One of the things we've done really well is filled the niche of building homes that have RV garages attached
Right.
to them.
Right.
Guys love their
Yeah.
RV garages,
Yeah.
and they get bigger and bigger. So things like that we could do. We can,
Right.
add more garage space. We can add more livable space.
Right.
So yes, we can do that. We worked doing that because remodel work is just a different circumstance, but we've now
Right.
partnered with a team that can work with us along
great.
with us to do that.
Great.
And so yes, we can
So to wrap this thing up, why is it a good time to build?
because it's going to be really busy next year. And if you're even thinking about building the house, now is the time to do it because you will be waiting in line. You won't have to deal with the shortages of labor and of products. It's just a perfect time right now to build.
Right.
If you can get yourself in a situation where you can do a 2-1 buy down,
Right.
if you have the cash to do it, definitely it's not going down. We've had people ask, why have prices gone down? They'd leveled off.
Right.
Because here's the thing, lumber went down, but everything around it went up.
Right.
Steel,
Yeah. Right.
well, everything went up. So we're seeing it flat because of that. Lumber went down, and some other things went down.
Right.
But there's products that you can set your clock to the day they're going to, and month that they're going to raise the price on that product.
Right.
Floor coverings, a perfect example of that.
Right.
They didn't, in the recession, didn't know we had a recession. Like,
Right.
you guys even know we're going through a recession? Actually, we're raising the prices on us. We can't even afford to pay Uber.
Right.
And,
Right.
so but it still happens. So we're going to, prices, I believe, if you took and looked at a graph from the early 2000s, like say 2000 to now, and you took let's say 3 to 4%
Right.
increase
Right.
from that period of time, we're probably really close to that right now.
Right. Yeah.
We saw that big dip during that 2008, 9, 10.
Yeah.
We went into 15.
Right. Yeah.
We're still way below our pricing at that point in time.
Oh, yeah.
At 2006. So I don't think we're out of range.
Right.
What I do believe is we still need to increase our wages for our working, the people that are building these houses.
Right.
People that working at working people that need housing, workforce housing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing we need.
Right.
Workforce housing.
Yeah. Well, I think that at this point in the real estate market, it's so important to have these conversations because a lot of times, whether you're a consumer or you have a family member that's in the position where they want to buy or sell, but they have no idea what to do, they're being fed all this negative information and possibly false information from a lot of people and the news and social media. So I think it's really important that we hear it from the experts themselves. And so, Jim, I really appreciate you doing this. I think that it's amazing to be able to sit down with people like you to get the facts and to get the information that people need to know and then share with them. And so I've heard it from many people that you and your team and your company are the best of the best. And so I'm super honored that we were able to do this. And if you guys have any questions at all, feel free, I'm sure, to reach out to Jim and his team, and they'd be happy to help you and answer any questions. So thank you again for tuning into this episode, and stay tuned for the next one.